Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Healthy Menu Podcast. This is episode 8. My name is Christine Billinger. I'm the marketing manager for Menu Sano. And today we're going to be talking about how you can market your healthy restaurant on social media. So today with us, we have Karan Dolakia. He is a social media content producer. So he is going to be giving you some tips and advice on how you can stand out in social media with your healthy dishes. So welcome, Karan.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you for, having me. This is interesting, being on the other side of the microphone now.
So just so you know, Karan is usually our host and producer. So today we have turned the tables and have decided that we would ask him the questions this time around.
Christine approached me and she said, how would you feel if we interviewed you? And I said, I'm not sure. So it's good. Thank you for allowing me to be a guest.
Yeah, well, thanks for cooperating, coming and speaking on this episode.
Yes.
All right, so my first question for you is, why should restaurants use social media? Like, why not just have a website?
Well, it's interesting. I think we kind of live in an age now where social media has become almost a norm of our daily lives, not just kind of our offline lives, but kind of our jobs as well. We're surrounded by, down to the companies that we work at, focusing on restaurants specifically. 59%, this is kind of taken from a Cornell University study, should I say. 59% of chain restaurants and 79% of independent restaurants use social media. Mm-hmm. So it obviously completely and totally depends on your business. But there is merit in having a social media profile, regardless of which platform it is, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. There is a guaranteed audience for you, and I think one of the most important things that people tend to forget is that it's free marketing. And if we kind of go back to kind of the days of traditional marketing, where you used to pay for, a full page ad in a magazine or a newspaper, even I think I was reading this thing about New York Times still charged
up to $150,000
for a full page spread for an ad.
Wow.
And if you look at the merits of, obviously the New York Times still has a wide readership. But if you look at, the amount of people that are on social media, we're talking into the billions almost, and I think compared to having a website, social media is giving you the opportunity to get direct customer feedback. You get to build that relationship almost instantaneously. The networking opportunities are huge. Mm-hmm. You can literally direct message someone on Instagram, get in touch with them and build a collaboration. It takes seconds, minutes to do that. Whereas before, you might have had to go through somebody's, assistant, or, go to the reception desk or call the switchboard. But now you can go directly to an Instagram profile or a Facebook profile, message them, and you've got the ability to do that.
That's really great. So it's gonna cost a lot less than traditional marketing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And also you have you can start to develop more of a relationship with your customers versus like a print ad, which it's very just one way. Yeah. So
absolutely.
So those are both great things.
That's it. And I think the other thing is the ability to kind of track the feedback that you're getting at real time. So it's like you said, it's traditional methods of marketing, whilst just in some instances they might be effective, you're not able to track the I guess return on investment on that. You can almost track that, whether it's a website or a social media platform. You can track the amount of feedback that you're getting via analytics, or the comments, engagement that you're getting. Kind of going to your original question, why not have a website? There are merits to having a website. With the website, you're kind of giving yourself the ability to customize based on your brand. You're kind of giving yourself almost a home base there. It's there. But I guess some of the downsides are you need to maintain it. You got to pay for the hosting. But at the same time, it's fully owned by yourself. If you look at something like traditional print media, for example, it's like you said, it's a very one-way system. You're putting a piece of content out there and you're not giving anybody the platform to respond back to you. But by having a social media platform, what you're doing is you're effectively inviting constant feedback from the stuff that you're putting out, whether it's a dish or whether it's, a service that you're providing. It's that platform will always stay active, and it's 24/7. It's worldwide. Your audience has the ability to kind of feedback whenever they want.
Okay, so social media, it's definitely more dynamic than just having a website.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so if you're just starting out on social media, or maybe you set up an account like a few years ago and you haven't really posted much on it, what can you do now to get followers and get your account going?
I guess it's interesting because social media itself is it's a minefield. It's trying to find the kind of the right platform for you is it can be difficult, and I think that one of the biggest things to figure out is that. And one of the ways you can get around it is, I guess, just by posting content. One of the most important things is consistency. If you're not posting regularly, you're not going to be able to find out what the right platform is for you. If you're posting once a week, you're not giving the platforms and your audience the ability to even discover your content.
Okay, so more than once a week.
Absolutely. So, for example, Instagram. Let's say I put a post out today. Well, let's say I put 3 or 4 posts out today, and people are engaging with that post. Those people who are engaging with that post are going to be seeing my post more often, because what Instagram says is that algorithm is going to treat my posts as their kind of family or friend circle, and it's going to show the audience and show those people who have liked my post more of my content.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hyper-targeted content that's going towards these people. If you're new to it, the best way to kind of try and figure out what's right for you is by consistently posting content and seeing what works.
So if you don't have very many followers, right? That's kind of the beginning, right? Is you want to get followers to follow you so that they start seeing your content, and hopefully you're posting it very regularly, so they're seeing it regularly.
Yep.
But there's sometimes you hear about hacks to getting followers. Sometimes you can buy followers.
Yep.
What is your opinion on buying followers?
So I think there are different schools of thought on this, and it's you kind of got to ask yourself the question: is it about vanity metrics, likes, followers, that kind of stuff, or is it about the quality of the content that you're putting out? Now, one of the biggest things with buying followers is that you're not going to get true engagement with these followers, and that's going to be of zero value to your business. If you're putting content out and these ghosts effectively or bots are liking your pictures and things, your real audience will get no value from that, because what's going to happen is there's going to be a massive discrepancy. Let's say you've got 10,000 followers. Let's say you've got 100 real followers, and 9,900 of those followers are fake. You're not going to get much from those followers. But if people start to catch wind of the discrepancy between the amount of likes that you're getting and the followers that you have even, then there's a big issue when it comes to the trust of your business. The engagement that you can really get should be testament to the validity of your business. And if you're not getting any real people commenting on your content, then there's going to be something wrong there.
Yeah. So I guess like in social media, you kind of want to be like a happening brand, right? Where you have real people commenting and interacting with your posts.
Yep.
So it adds a better reputation.
Right, there you go.
Right. So people will come and see your social media and they're going to think, wow, this place is really popular.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said there too, I think, about the psychology of social influence, right? So, going back to the website question too, you don't get that with a website necessarily, but you can get that on social media.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing as well is kind of you'd be lying to yourself in terms of if you're looking for a return on investment, or if you're looking for people to come to your establishment, you're not going to get that from fake followers. You need to really find out what it is that your audience wants. And if you've got 10,000 fake followers just for the sake of having followers, you're not providing any kind of value to your business. There's another conversation to be had about influencers getting 10,000 plus followers or whatever. That's a whole other conversation. But if you're a restaurant or you're a food business and you're trying to get you're trying to become a player in the business, in the industry, you need to be organic and you need to be truthful with the way that you use your social media.
So what about interesting, you mentioned influencers. So this is a whole new industry.
Absolutely.
That's come out of social media where you can pay people to promote your business, and these people are known as influencers.
Yeah.
So do you think there's any value to that to help you to, like, if you're a niche offering a niche product in terms of your dishes, do you think, is it worthwhile getting an influencer? Are they like ridiculously expensive?
Yeah, I mean, there are merits to partnering up with influencers, and I think there are different ways to go about it. And I think one of the most popular ways is kind of getting an influencer to come to your establishment and kind of getting them to cover it on their social media. If this influencer has 20k plus followers and they're putting it out on their social media that your restaurant is the restaurant to go to, there's going to be a knock-on effect. You're not going to get all 20,000 of those followers to come to your restaurant, but the thing is with influencers that people trust them.
Yes.
And the people who are following them trust their opinion when it comes to things. There are numerous studies out there that say that a lot of normal traditional advertising doesn't work with people anymore. You need to get influencers to try and convince people to buy your product or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, we know too that the most powerful thing for your marketing is word of mouth, because on a psychological level, that's what sways people to choosing one brand or one business over another.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that an influencer could be a positive thing for your restaurant, and like even just having social media to begin with, right? And having that interaction and that livelihood.
Definitely, but I think at the same time, don't get it twisted. It could go horribly wrong. You've got to have that trust in the influencer, and that the partnership has to be 100% compatible with your business.
Yeah.
And so it goes both ways.
You have to do your research.
Absolutely.
Right? You got to check out their profiles and make sure they have real followers.
There you go. And I think one of the biggest things is you've got to make sure that their credibility is kind of as a representation of what your business represents as well. And if the influencer isn't a right fit for you, it can go horribly wrong. Their audience may not even be the right audience for you. And I think that's one of the biggest things. You've got to find someone that is 100% compatible with your business before you even approach them.
So another way to find followers and to promote yourself, right, is the use of hashtags. So hashtags, I mean, I think for a while there we thought they were going to die away, but of course they didn't. And they're super duper useful. So how do you find like which hashtags you should use?
Good question. And I think kind of there are several ways of looking at this. With Instagram, for example, their organic reach has decreased significantly over the last few months, and we've seen that across a number of profiles. So the use of hashtags, you have to be way more calculated than you used to be. Oftentimes what people do is they'll throw 30 hashtags on their posts and they'll hope somebody discovers it. And, someone might discover it, but you're not going to get the right amount of traction compared to, say, if you're more calculated with your hashtags. There needs to be a good mix of hashtags ranging from kind of niche hashtags specific to your business, kind of mid-range ones where you've kind of got people in the kind of thousands looking at them, and then you've got the kind of the overarching kind of the higher level ones where you've got the millions looking at them. There needs to be a good mix of ones specific to your business. If you're throwing in hashtags just for the sake of throwing in hashtags, your content isn't going to be discovered.
So that's really good advice, like just in terms of like the hashtags you should pick and choose from.
That's right.
And then are there any tools or anything that you can use to help you figure out which hashtags are good to try out?
Absolutely. I mean, there are hundreds of tools out there right now. I'm using a tool called Ritetag, and what that does, it integrates kind of across all social networks and even like Hootsuite. And what it does, it allows you to discover hashtags that are quote unquote trending. Take that with a pinch of salt, because trending doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing for you. But it's interesting to see kind of the types of hashtags it generates, and it kind of segments them into kind of the trending ones and the kind of evergreen hashtags as well. But there are a number of tools you can use out there. But the other thing to realize, to understand, I guess, as well, is a lot of the platforms are kind of closing off their access to their APIs, so it's not easy to find those hashtags that work for you. So one of the best ways to find hashtags is on the platforms themselves. So if you're looking to, I don't know, let's say if you're a healthy restaurant and you're serving vegan food, try looking for hashtags around vegan food. So vegan lifestyle, vegan food, vegan dishes. Try and find those on the platforms themselves and seeing what kind of results that you're getting, and try and tailor your content around that.
So are you saying that, if you're posting on Facebook, Instagram, and maybe Twitter, can you use the same hashtags for all three platforms, or should you?
It's interesting because on Facebook, whilst hashtags still work, it's not really a universal thing. I think a lot of content on Facebook is discoverable mainly through kind of the search box, but even trying to find your content in the sea of millions of content on Facebook is a difficult one. But hashtags generally can be used on Facebook, but I would tailor them based on the platform that you're using. So LinkedIn will have a completely different audience, so you need to tailor your content and hashtags based on the audience on LinkedIn. Likewise with Instagram. So something that might have 1 million followers on Instagram, so vegan, for example, might have a completely different audience on Instagram than it does on LinkedIn. So it's about doing that research and making sure you're not just throwing hashtags on for the sake of throwing them on.
Okay, that's really good advice on hashtags.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the deal with stories, and how can you leverage them to help with your marketing?
I mean, stories are an incredibly powerful tool. Like, if we take into consideration the placement of stories, let's say if I was following you and you put a story out, the placement of stories is directly above the feed, so it's the first thing that anybody sees when they go on Instagram. It's an incredibly powerful tool to market the stuff that's reactive and in the moment. It can be anything from things like what's cooking in the kitchen, whether it's a case of an owner or an assigned person within the restaurant or something, to kind of talk about the stuff that's cooking in the kitchen. Is there a new dish? Can we talk about that? What items are on the menu? What's the most popular thing for the day? Is there a soup of the day? Is there a dish of the day? Can we talk about that on stories?
Yes, that's a good idea.
It's trying to figure out what the purpose is of your stories. Another way of doing things is kind of getting people to send in their experiences of your restaurant. So they could send you a video and you could highlight that on your stories. Get people to tag your restaurant or your business in their stories, and look through these tags and look through these mentions and include those in your stories.
So it's a good way to get further social reach.
Absolutely.
By tagging.
Absolutely. And not just that, but it also opens up the possibilities of doing things like contests. If somebody sends in a video and you mention them in your stories, that person gets to come in for a free dish or a free meal. There's a number of ways you can kind of capitalize on stories. That's just kind of one way of doing it. But the good thing about UGC and user generated content is your fans are doing 95% of the work for you. All you have to do is post it up and tag them in it.
Yes.
So it's
brilliant.
Yeah, it's an amazing way of doing work, I guess.
So what about, you mentioned contests.
Sure.
So I think contests are a really great way to market your business on social media.
Absolutely. I think, again, there are different schools of thought here, because you have to be careful how you're kind of playing the contest, because there are a group of people online who kind of exist solely to enter these competitions. And so those are the ones you have to be careful with. So let's say you put a contest out, and and anybody can win an Apple Watch, and all they have to do is mention 3 of their friends. People are just going to come to your profile, notice that you're running a contest for free Apple Watch. They're in it for the Apple Watch. They don't care about your business. So you have to be really big. You have to be really careful as to the kind of contest you're offering. So something like a free meal is an interesting one, because what you're going to do, you're going to attract the type of people who want to come to your restaurant.
Yes.
That's something that would actually work, because you're inviting those people to enter that competition. Whereas, providing something like an Apple Watch, is it relevant to your business? That's the kind of thing that you have to ask those questions. Is it relevant to my business? Or what contest can I run that's going to be directly related to my business and bring me repeat custom. So that's the kind of things that you kind of have to consider when running a contest.
Yeah, no, that's definitely good advice. So maybe you are a microbrewery and you can give away free alcohol. Can you do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Or even, take it a step further, come to your brewery, contest to have a tour around the brewery and taste some beer or taste, things like that is interactive stuff. The beauty about social media is you're able to interact with your audience in a way that has never been possible before. And, things like inviting people back to your brewery and showing them the work that goes into not just beer or whatever it is, but even the dishes that you create, everything down to the ingredients that you choose. You can even, if you want to go even a step further than that, let's say you're a restaurant and you want to invite people and you want to show them how you create your dishes, having like a one-to-one session with the chef or something like that in creating a dish, who's to say that doesn't work? So it's trying to find, this goes back to the whole thing about trying to find your audience. And if you can captivate an audience using stuff like that, then you're winning.
That's really good. That's a really great idea. You can also incorporate the user-generated content into a contest. Say you just send in a photo of your for your favorite meal that you've had, or So that's a really great use of social media for your marketing.
Yep.
So now coming into 2020.
Yep.
So what are some of the new trends in social media marketing that we can expect? Like, are we going to see, I've heard, video is going to be a really, important kind of content type.
Absolutely. I think video kind of has been growing for the last couple of years, and it's only going to continue to grow. I think if there's anything to take out of this year is to understand how to create video, and now video is so much more accessible than it ever was. You no longer need thousands of dollars worth of equipment anymore. You can just use the phone in your hand. You don't need an entire crew. You've got that in your pocket. If whether it means having one person assigned to doing your social media and making sure that they're creating regular content, then so be it. But video is most definitely the way forward. It allows you to showcase your business in a way that no other form of medium can. They say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? But if you consider that and times that by X amount and translate that into video, what is a video worth? 1 million words or whatever.
Yes.
It's another way of showcasing your business in a way you can't do it otherwise. And so I would say, kind of put all your eggs in your video basket. I mean, and focus on that, and really kind of make sure you're putting out content that's consistent with your brand, and not just consistent with your brand, but you're consistently putting out content that's going to work.
Do you have any recommendations on different maybe phone apps that people can get to do video editing on their phone?
Absolutely. Like there's even the other thing is I talked about kind of spending money on equipment. Likewise, you no longer have to spend hundreds of dollars on applications. The iPhone application itself now allows you to trim clips and do things like that just straight from your phone. You can rotate them, you can kind of format them based on the platform that you're on. If you need to make a vertical video, horizontal, you can do that now on your iPhone. The new updates allow you to do all of this. You can add filters onto it, you can do all sorts of things. There are, even on desktop, there's apps that allow you to put videos together. Kapwing, Biteable, Promo, all these free applications allow you to put these things together, and we can put them in description of the podcast. But just understanding that you no longer need hundreds of dollars worth of investment to do this anymore. All you need is some time and some patience. Having those two things are going to be key when it comes to kind of creating your content strategy in 2020. Video, I can't stress video enough. But even, kind of moving away from just social media, kind of just talking about the trends for food and drink, healthier kitchens is said to be kind of one of the biggest trends kind of going into 2020. What can you do to make your restaurant more healthy? What dishes can you showcase that show that you're providing that healthy option, whether it's, lower calories or whatever it is. And, what kind of another trend is kind of sustainability. So what kind of environmental impact does your restaurant have? Kind of what kind of stuff can you showcase on your social media that shows that.
So these are going to be, definitely big buzzwords coming into 2020.
Absolutely.
Healthier kitchen, sustainable. So if you're doing any of those things, you should definitely capitalize that and push that out to social media.
For sure.
Well, thank you so much, Kern.
Thank you, Christine, for having me on here. It's been a pleasure, as always.
Yeah. So I hope everybody, had a few takeaways from that on how they can boost their social media marketing, especially if you're marketing a niche product like healthier food, or like, as we mentioned, like vegan or keto or anything like that.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. So that was the episode. If you enjoyed that and you want to know more about what we discussed, we've left some links around the talking points in the description of this podcast. And you can also find more information on the Menusano blog, which you can also find in the description of this podcast. Don't forget, you can find us across a number of platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Again, the links are in the description. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please consider leaving us a review